Secara keseluruhan, UNIPMA memiliki 4 fakultas program studi strata 1, yaitu Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan, dengan 13 program studi. Secara keseluruhan, UNIPMA memiliki 4 fakultas program studi strata 1, yaitu Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan, dengan 13 program studi. Secara keseluruhan, UNIPMA memiliki 4 fakultas program studi strata 1, yaitu
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fourth session of the webinar series of the 5th anniversary of Universitas PGRI Madiun. Thanks for joining us today, and hopefully this webinar will give us benefits for our future career. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dwi Rositasari, and today I'll be the moderator of the webinar. Well, before going further, I will convey today's theme. The theme is New Paradigm in English Teaching related to COVID-19 pandemic. And then next, I will convey our speakers. Today we have 5 speakers from English Department of Universitas PGRI Madiun. The first one we have Dr. Dwi Setiadi, Magister Management, Dr. Sumani, Magister Manajemen, Magister Humaniora, Dr. Lulus Irawati, Sarjana Sastra, Magister Pendidikan, Dr. Sigit Ricahyono, Sarjana Sastra, Magister Pendidikan, dan yang terakhir Dr. Erli Widiani Setiati, Magister Pendidikan. Next, we move to talking about the first themes will be conveyed by Dr. Dwi Setiadi, Magister Management. We will discuss about communication in the new normal, an outlook of the change of language behavior. And then before we are going to the topic today, let me read the biography of Dr. Dwi Setiadi first. He is the lecturer of English Department, Universitas PGRI Madiun, and now he is the vice of rector of Universitas PGRI Madiun. And then he focuses on linguistic and also language teaching. Now we welcome our first speaker, Dr. Dwi Setiadi, Magister Management, please.
Thank you, Ma'am Rosita.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm glad that I can greet you in this very moment in the programs of University of PGRI Madiun webinar. I hope you are blessed, stay healthy, and stay happy also. Then my topic for today will be communications and new normal, an outlook on a change of language behavior. You know that nowadays, everyone talks about COVID-19, talks about the new normal life. Then they also discuss from many realms of discipline, like social, economy, then also physical, and something like that. But now I try to propose my topic, a very simple topic, that is communications and new normal. We have a look on the change of language behavior. Then our sessions will be subdivided into 4 steps. The first one is the know-how about the language behavior. And the second one is about the COVID-19 and the value in social communications. Then the third is about new normal life. And the last is about new norms in the language use. Now we come to the first steps of our discussions, that is about the language and the social behavior. A bit theoretical, that language cannot be separated from the society. It means that every society must have at least one language to communicate with, and every language, every society must have language, and every language must have society. Even if we have a look that society is composed as a groups of people that occupy a certain area, that they hold pride the same norms, make interactions by language. In a way, that language become one of the elements of society. And that's why language cannot even be separated from society. Then when there is a society, there must be a language to communicate with. Then now it talks about the language as a social behavior. Leboeuf proposes that language is a social behavior, not merely a means of communications, but it is more than a social behavior. It means that in a social life, we cannot live the language without behavior in everyday living conversations. For example, we have ethnicity. Ethnicity of the speaker of a language cannot even be separated when we communicate to other people. Everyone will know the ethnic origins of ourselves when we speak to other people. Then it is easily recognized by the interlocutor. And more like social class, occupations, habits, even personality of a certain persons can be seen through the language they make use of. So we will not deny that language and society merge into one language behavior. And then when speaking, we bring in a social value as a norm. For example, what is good and bad, what is right from wrong, what is polite from impolite. We always bring it into our speaking. Then when speaking, what we have to do is to conduct a speech act. Then speaking is composed by through elements. That is the verbal element, that is the real language that we speak, the real utterance, the real word that we speak. And the second one is the behavior, the the non-verbal actions, like behavior and physical actions, like that. So speaking is a bundle of words, context, and behavior. And then that is what is communicated by Shirley, that communications are composed of 3 acts. That is locutionary act, what is exactly spoken by the speaker, and then illocutionary act is that what is interpreted, and then the prelocutionary act, and what is supposed to be the response of the interlocutor when responding to certain speech. Now, as I just said about verbal actions and non-verbal actions that merge into one communications, we cannot separate both of the verbal actions and non-verbal actions in a real speech, like body movement, gesture, mimic, expressions, and something like that. For example, we have salute, then greeting command, pose, shake hand and kiss, hugs and kiss, high five, full hand, plunge, point, even fucks. Then we use the gestures, the body movement to accompany the use of the language. Now we have a look to this picture. It's related to the body movements or body language. Then you can easily attach words to all of the picture here. Yeah. We have some picture that you may attach words into it without mistake, of course. Then sometimes also, then this picture can replace word that we are going to say to other people. It means that communications in real may be replaced by certain types of gestures. Then such a gesture is also related to the who speak to whom. For example, pose, shake hand and kiss indicates that the participants are intimate, the lower class to upper class of the society. And then high five indicates intimacy, the same social class of people of the interlocutor. Now, what about this 3 picture? You can imagine the relationship between the speaker and hearer that is replaced by this picture, and then the relationship between speaker and hearer by this picture, and also the relationships of speaker and hearer that can be replaced by this picture. It means here, the conclusion is that the verbal actions and non-verbal actions is merged into one communication and interactions. And then both of them is bound to culture. For example, I have an example. The word from Surabaya, then the actions come from Ngayogyakarta, Hadiningrat, for example. This will not match between the verbal action and non-verbal action. For example, panjenengan pancen danco. It's not suitable, right? Matamu picek. Is that not suitable, of course? Because in Ngayogyakarta Hadiningrat, then such word is so sarcastic, of course, but it is very familiar in Surabaya. Okay, now we leave about the language and language use in the community. Now we come to COVID-19 and the social system. Now we know then how about the COVID-19 that attacks respiratory system, diseases of virus COVID-19. Yeah, first spread from Wuhan, then many things else. Then we try to struggle against the COVID, covering many societies like doctors, medical representatives, as frontliner, armed force to support accommodation, police to arrange people mobility, all societal constituents to control their own people activities, the government to make strategic regulations and national budget, all devote to the battle against COVID-19. And what is the essence of the COVID-19 regulations is that there social distancing, that the social activities is limited, gathering is also limited, physical distancing to limit physical contacts, health protocol standard, large-scale social restrictions, massive medical aids, and so forth. Then, what is the relationship between the regulations in the periods of COVID-19 pandemic? Is that the impact on the social interactions and language behavior. Salute is accepted still, but greeting comment is not permitted. Shake hand is not also permitted. Shake hand and kiss is not also permitted. Hugs and kiss, high five are not permitted. Then those can be replaced by one, that is the folded hand. And now we come to new normal life. That new normal is an official scenario to live the life that accelerates the recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. Then we also cover the habituations of abnormality to normal. So there must be a brand new social systems, social activities goes on by regarding to the strict regulations. And the abnormality that we accept become new normal. And what is the relationship of the new normal life to the new norm of the language use? Because experts predict that virus will not disappear from this earth. The only way to face it is to accept it, to live with it, to accept abnormality, like what I have explained as the regulations. Then we have to keep away from interlocutor. We do not speak too loud to prevent or block no physical contact. shake hand, kiss, greeting comment, high fives are not permitted. The question is, what do we feel when all physical actions in our communications are then replaced with only one, only then? Didn't you feel something change? Didn't you miss something? What we used to do with our heart then misses. When things is different, we have flung ourselves into the norms of speaking. That is brand new, of course. Now, what we have to think is, here we have the points found there. Whatever physical changes found in new normal communication, whatever words, actions, new normally spoken and speech, whatever actions of speeches new normally polite, whatever speech act new normally change. Let us go together in research, then we will result in the explanations about the new normal of language behavior. Thank you for the sessions, and we are very glad if there is response or maybe questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for our first speaker, Dr. Dwi Setiadi, Magister Management. And then let me deliver our second speaker, Dr. Sigit Ricahyono, Sarjana Sastra, Magister Pendidikan, who will discuss the intercultural communication, encounters and competence, Asian experience. He is the lecturer of Universitas PGRI Madiun, and now as the head of the International Office of Universitas PGRI Madiun. And his scope is on linguistic. Please welcome our second speaker, Dr. Sigit Ricahyono, Sarjana Sastra, Magister Pendidikan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad here to share. This is really a small or preliminary research. I take a topic about intercultural communication, encounters, and experiences. However, everybody, I would like to take the word encounter in a loose manner, because the word encounter usually interpreted as problems. Therefore, a better word will be experience. So I would like to talk about intercultural communications, the experience. Now let's have a look at the PowerPoint. I would like to skip my biography because it's already set by the moderator. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to talk about why ASEAN. ASEAN becomes a very interesting topic of research and then economy or other business. First of all, because when it was launched, ASEAN as economic community, and then it was revised to the second step. This is called ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025. By this, ASEAN wants to be a single gigantic market for international business. Therefore, everybody, this is a very beautiful market. Thanks, everybody. I would like to talk about, before talking about language and culture, I would like to talk about intercultural communication first. By intercultural communication, I mean, everybody, it is a situation where people whose linguistic and cultural background interact. So this is what we mean by intercultural communication. People coming from different linguistic and cultural background interact. Now let's talk about, because the topic is intercultural communication, we talk about language and culture. The relationship between language and culture, everybody. Broadly speaking, language and culture are interrelated. We cannot say that language affects culture or culture affects the language. Both affecting each other. Next, guys, why talking about intercultural communication? Nowadays, especially as we experiencing now, pandemic COVID, we get to work from home, we get to communicate from home. It means now we are relying much on mediated communication. When we talk about mediated communication, we use social media, and when we are using social media, very easily, we are interacting with people coming from different linguistic and cultural background. Therefore, everybody, the competence of communicating with people coming from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds are very, very important. Next, everybody, I would like to talk about my study. I would like to repeat, this is a small preliminary study. I focus on collecting data from alumni of City Teacher and Student of Universitas PGRI Madiun. There are two programs of CMIO, Southeast Asian Ministry Organization. First is the CityWeb, and the other is the Teacher. So far, there are 17 students participated in this program. The first CityWeb, UNIPMA already sent 9 students by Teacher. 8 students participated. So there are 17 people participated in my preliminary research. On the basis of sex, ladies and gentlemen, 6 male, and then 11, 65% female. Next, the distribution where UNIPMA students do internships. One student did internship in Vietnam, one student did their internship in Malaysia, and the vast majority did their internships in Philippines, 9 students. And the second big number is Thailand, 6 students occupying 35%. So those are how UNIPMA students participating in student exchange in the area of ASEAN are distributed. Then, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about, I would like to focus on nonverbal communication. When we talk about language, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about kinds of communication. The language we mean can be verbal, can be nonverbal communication. Now, we'd like to specify my topic on nonverbal communication. Well, there are different ideas how we categorize nonverbal communication. And this is according to Samoa reporter Daniel and Roy, 2015. There are basically 8 kinds of nonverbal communications. The chronomics, it's about time. The haptics, about touch. kinesthetic, but facial expression, movement, gestures, oculesics, orthotic, physical appearance, proxemic, and last of all, vocalics. I would like to say the nonverbal communication in some of these 8 categories. Why we are talking about nonverbal communication? Ladies and gentlemen, nonverbal communication is quite different from verbal communications, especially nonverbal communication operate in less conscious level. So it happens automatically beyond our consciousness. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, communication using nonverbal behaviors usually considered to be the real message in communication. Then, what is very important about nonverbal communication, guys? While verbal communication, as we know, for example, when we talk about grammar, morphology, vocabulary, we learn it through books, and that's okay. But it is not the case when we talk about the nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication can be learned only when we get doing, so when we get in interactions. So this is the main difference between verbal and nonverbal communications. You can understand nonverbal communication only if you are socializing in the language you are learning now. Let's move on, guys. Talking about nonverbal communication is not easy, everybody. Interpreting data about nonverbal communication is not easy because, on one hand, nonverbal communications reflect the culture. On the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, it is idiosyncratic. It cannot be mixed. It can be generalized as it belongs to a specific culture. This is what makes analyzing nonverbal communication interesting, or at least challenging, ladies and gentlemen. Among the categories I found from the data involving 17 students doing internships in ASEAN countries, the first and most easier together is that in the category of physical appearance or attire. This can be because physical appearance is the easiest for us to observe. This includes physical characteristics like age, weight, body shape, also including personal grooming like body hair, clothing choices, even personal artifacts such as jewelry, glasses, backpack, purses, and so on and so on. So this is what we mean by physical appearance. Now let's have a look at whether we have data. This is the first data from our alumni of City and City Bed. This is in Indonesian. This happens not to him himself, but to his friend. It's in Indonesian. So what we can underline from this data is that because of physical appearance, this is in particular Islamic hijab, guys. This happened in Philippines. As all we acknowledge, Philippine most majority are Catholics. And then when there is or there are people using something different from their normality, this of course catching their attention. And therefore, it happens to our students doing internship there that they are closely watched. They are closely watched because of simply they are wearing hijab. An example of physical appearance. Next. This is another from participant number 5. It happens in the Philippines also. Again, guys, this data underlines again difference of belief. Belief is a part of culture. Again, this hijab attracts attention. This creates something very impressive, memorable experience for our students because of wearing hijab. This happens to her because the person is female. That's the second data. Next, guys. This happened in Thailand. The female students of UNIPMA. As we can say here, guys, a teacher would like to give the student from UNIPMA a bracelet. The bracelet was gotten by the teacher from a holy place, temple, for example. And then it must be very precious, this very bracelet for the persons. And the person would like to give this to our student. But he was anxious whether this is appropriate or not, because the person she wants to give student of UNIPMA is Muslim. It's not an easy to do. This is very interesting experience for our student. Again, simply because there's difference in terms of belief. This is another data from participant number 8. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this in relation to physical appearance, especially hijab. As we can see from this text, to the people in Thailand, wearing hijab seems to be in an uneasy way, an uncomfortable situation, because it can be very hard on one hand. On the other hand, this creates curiosity on the people around, and the people ask our student if whether or not she feels hot because of the hijab. Second, the curiosity is whether it is okay for our students to put off hijab in such a way that it will be more comfortable for the students. This experience, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is of course memorable one. Again, this is another example of nonverbal behavior, especially on physical appearance. Still another. Yes. Again, this is about hijab. So, ladies and gentlemen, from some data shared by our students who did internships in ASEAN countries, physical appearance, one of the category of physical nonverbal communication, is easiest to catch attention. Therefore, experiences relating to hijab is the most frequently happens to our students there. The next category regarding to nonverbal communication is haptics. That's about touch, everybody. As we can see from this text, the data from participant number 6, female doing internship in Thailand. The moment is when our student is about returning back to Indonesia. Of course, this is a very emotional moment because they are going to take part. The person asks if it is okay for him to hug her. On one hand, hugging is culture specific. It's not universal. It can be good for a culture, it can be bad for another culture. To be more specific, it is not allowed according to Islamic laws. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, this is an example in particular regarding haptics of touch. So this is a very memorable experience for our students that she experienced persons of different sex expressing whether it is okay for him to hug her. Of course, this can be shocking for our student, which is female. This is the second category, haptic. Next, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to categorize this into others because it is difficult for me to categorize into the 8 categories. First, this is the students, UNIPMA students doing internships in ASEAN countries, perceive while they were doing their internships, their intercultural nonverbal experience so that they indicate respect about the cultures. That's an example from from participant number 5, female, doing internship in Philippines. When I met her in a canteen, she always informed me which one is food with free of pork. So this is an expression of respect of our students' culture, that's Islam. Another is similar. That's from participant number 8, female also. This happened in Thailand, not in the Philippines. From this text, we know that the students, our student, UNIPMA student, was doing teaching practice. While one day when she did teaching practice, as Muslims, she usually wear hijab. But maybe because the student noticed wearing hijab something strange, and then the student impressed, the student imitate wearing hijab someday. This is an expression of respect from the students to different cultures as Islam. Next. This happens to our students too in Thailand, and the day of celebrating Indonesian Day or ASEAN Day, if I can remember well. Indonesian Day, I think. Well, everybody in the embassy of Indonesia in Bangkok were celebrating Indonesian Day, and Indonesians who stay close to the embassy wearing Indonesian traditional clothes. And some of Thai people did similar and asked if the way he or she getting dressed already appropriate or not. This is another expression of respect of culture. Next. This has happened in Philippines. And another happened in Thailand. This is about food. It's similar to the previous, reminding our student which food can be eaten by our student, which one cannot. This is an expression of respect, of culture. Then, ladies and gentlemen, it's about food. I categorize this into other because it doesn't belong to among the 8 categories. The experience is, I don't know whether this generally characterize Indonesian or not, but this happened in Philippines. For the Filipinos, Indonesian foods are too much hot for them. It's very difficult for them to understand why Indonesians love hot food much more than they do.
3 minutes, sir.
Okay. Something to learn, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to quote an experience from one of the students. After my experiences, student exchange in Thailand, I have realized that self-awareness is a key for the success of communicating with people coming from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. Others, ladies and gentlemen, as indicated by research by Papatsiba 2005, those are among the benefit for individuals who are involved in programs of intercultural communication. I think that's all. Thank you very much. I would like to hear some questions if there are any. Again, thank you.
Okay, many thanks to our second speaker, Dr. Sigitri Cahyono, Sarjana Sastra Magister Pendidikan. Now we move to our third speakers today, Dr. Lulus Irawati, Sarjana Sastra Magister Pendidikan. She will discuss best practices in teaching of academic writing during COVID-19 pandemic. Bu Lulus is the lecturer of Universitas PGRI Madiun and also the Vice Director of Postgraduate Program of Universitas PGRI Madiun. And then her scope is in English teachings and also applied linguistics. Please welcome our third speaker, Dr. Lulus Irawati, Sarjana Sastra Magister Pendidikan.
Thank you, Bu Dwi Rosita. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself. You can call me my first name, Lulus. Today, I'm going to share. Okay. Today, I'm going to share about my topic. The title is Best Practices in the Teaching of Academic Writing During COVID-19 Pandemic. Well, I think this is the thing that I would like to share to you. Okay. Okay, let me start again. I repeat, my title is Best Practices in the Teaching of Academic Writing During COVID-19 Pandemic. And I'm going to start with the introduction first. There are things that I'm going to share here. The first is about the areas of academic writing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, talking about area of academic writing in the university, there are some writing activities considered as academic writing. The terms used sometimes are shown. The term used sometimes are shown in the name of subjects such as essay writing, and then academic writing, scientific writing, research writing, writing for publication, research proposal, and etc. Based on the terms used there, commonly academic writing covers essay writing, research proposal writing, thesis writing, and research article writing. It is therefore the presentation today will relate to them. And then, how is the situation of the teaching of academic writing during pandemic? Of course, everybody already know that during last 3 months of the pandemic, the activities of teaching learning process dramatically changed. In the university, the place that I teach, there should be some changes in the way we teach our students. It also happens in the teaching of academic writing. The teaching learning process automatically shifted into virtual communication. Somehow it is challenging in the beginning, both for teachers and the students. Since the subject of writing itself is one of language skills that is demanding and need extra treatments in order to help the students master it. It is then we need best practices as possible solution to face the situation. Then the next question that I can ask for myself, maybe we need to get the answers together. Best practices seem to show the availability of teaching practices which are the best, quote, quote, among other teaching practices across different points of time and places. It means that we need to trace them from beginning occurrence to recent occurrence. It means that we need to trace them from beginning occurrence to recent occurrence. In fact, this presentation certainly will not share the sort of perfect ideas. This presentation simply wants to share an environment or atmosphere comfortable to fostering the students' communication skill or to use the right strategies in line with the teaching goals. Then, what activities are identified as best practices? For me, best practices refer to various teaching practices that have been considered successful, interesting, effective, innovative, or challenging. The best teaching practice may refer to one particular teaching that a teacher has successfully used before, or it may also refer to a classroom activity that a teacher has interestingly used comparing to others that the teacher has performed before. This means a teacher may have different selection of his or her best practice since the teaching techniques or teaching activities should also suit with the material. The next, what best practices can be probably used in the teaching of academic writing during pandemic? To answer this question, I'm going to present two divisions of best practices. The first is various approaches and activities in the teaching of academic writing. The second is using technology in the teaching of academic writing. Okay, let's start. This is the various approaches and activities in the teaching of academic writing. The first is genre-based approach. There are 3 research-based articles here. The first is Chen and Su, 2012. They assigned the students to write a summary, and the procedure is the first reading a book. Here the students were required to read one selected book and has a well-structured organization, clear narrative timeline, and then low lexical diversity, and it is easy to be understood also. And then the second procedure is writing the summary. The students were asked to write a summary of the book with a maximum of 500 words. And then the third is setting the context, the teaching the student the structure of narrative genre by using a 30-minute video of popular story. Then the student and the teacher discuss the generic structure. And then the next procedure is modeling. The teacher analyze the student previous summary and explain them the way to write or a summary with good structure. The next procedure is joint construction. The student create the summary writing based on the story in the video played by contributing one sentence by one sentence. Then review the content and organization together between the student and the teacher, of course, and then they practice to write good structure of summary. The last procedure from Chen and Su is independent construction. The students were asked to rewrite their previous summary based on the teacher's explanation with a maximum of 500 words. And then the second genre-based approach suggested by Deng et al. 2014 reported the implementation of genre-based model in the professional translation, in which the participants were assigned to create a translation product suited with the genre. The procedure are 3 stages. The first is the input stage. The learner teach the generic, the learners learn how to write the generic structure and then linguistic features of both source text and target text. And then the second stage is output stage. The learners are assigned to have group work or individual work and do a presentation based on the reading or translation material and start to demonstrate the translation process. So the product of the translation will be the genre text for them. Evaluation stage, the teacher examines and evaluates the learner's performance either in class or after class assignment. And the next research is by Irawati 2018. It was my own research. I investigated the use of genre-based approach to enhance research article writing in TIWL media subject. The procedure is the first, reviewing previous research articles. Here I asked the student to read and review the article in the area of TIWL media. And after that, they need to proposing the concept of group media. They make by themselves, and after reviewing the research article, the student who work in pairs presented the concept of group made teaching media for TIWL. And then the next procedure is conducting a mini research. Here I assign the student to conduct or to teach TIWL classroom, and then the student could directly make the teaching media right after get the teacher's approval. And then the next procedure is writing the results of the mini research. The student compose the result of the mini research orderly. Right after that, writing the research article of 2,500 up to 3,000 words in length. All students work in pair to write the research article. And then the last procedure is evaluation. The teacher would evaluate each research article section based on the research article's rhetorical patterns suggested by Swales and Fick 2012. The next approaches is project-based learning applied in the teaching of academic writing. There are there are 3 research that I discuss here. The first is Stoller 2006 and Sadia and Cahyono 2019. Both of the research here having the same procedure. That's why I take one example that is from Sadia and Cahyono. The procedure is deciding a topic for the project. Here, the teacher asks the student to write down the essay with the topic laws against cell phone use while driving. And then the second, designing a plan for the project. The student are asked to make a group of 3 and then plan their block and its template and then make an outline. And then the next procedure is collecting the data for the project. Asking the student to make groups and collect the data about the topic that have been decided before. And then the next procedure is creating the project. Asking the student to write an opinion essay on their blog. And after that, give peer feedback, and their work need to be corrected based on the given feedback. The next is presenting and evaluating the project, asking the student to present the result of the writing through blogging and giving feedback to their friends' presentation. And then the next research is coming from Irawati 2015. It was also my own research. I investigated cultural project-based learning to develop students' academic writing. In this research, I inserted culture in the materials that I use in the teaching of academic writing with the procedure. First is plan the project. Here, the student were assigned to work in group of 4 up to 5 students and then plan to have essay writing project using culture-based topic. And then the second, manage the project. The student work in group to collect the data related to the culture-based activities, either local culture or target culture, in order to generate ideas for their essay writing. And then the next stage is accomplish the project. The students started to compose 1,000-word essay writing based on proper organization, then presented in front of the class. And then the last one is doing evaluation for the project. The student did peer editing and are supervised by the teacher. Okay. The next approaches is problem-based learning applied in the teaching of academic writing. It is done by Surya 2018. Let's check here. The first procedure is having the problems. That means the students are given some question about the criteria of good writing and topic. And after that, classifying the problems. At this time, the student work in group to understand the question, and after that, classify which question can be answered and that of cannot. And then the next, discussing and completing to answer the problems in the groups. The students try to solve the problems by answering them one by one. And then the next, reporting each group answers. The students are invited to communicate the result or make a report in front of the class. And of the last procedure suggested by Surya is providing feedback. The audience and the teacher can propose the solution or the answers to respond group presentation. Now we come to the second division of best practices that I would like to share today, that is using technology in the teaching of academic writing during pandemic. Okay, the first technology that I would like to share is using digital videos. It is suggested by Engin 2014. Let's see the procedure. Preparing 10 digital videos, and then right after that, these videos become shared into the platform that is selected by teacher, and then the student use that video become the scaffold, and the next they prepare the topic based on the writing or based on the topic that has been selected by the teacher. Next, asking the student to create a video, and then they need to upload the video, and the student, the teacher check the video. The next is using Edmodo. They are giving a writing plan format at the particular text, and then uploading the writing plan in the Edmodo, writing composition offline, and then right after that should be posted again in the Edmodo. And then using Google Apps for education, there are 5 stages here. The first, of course, the student and the teacher need to have Google account and then working with the Google Doc and Google Drive. The next is peer editing and teacher feedback. And then the next, if the teacher and the student want to discuss the thing, they can use Google Classroom and Google Hangout. Okay, we come to the concern and implication of the teaching of academic writing during pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see here. Let's see and let's read the 2 quote here. I think this is good quote. Based on the quote 1, I believe that technology cannot replace the existence of teachers, and we still need to arm ourselves with the technology in order to keep updating our professionalism. I think only update teachers who are ready in any situation, even in the bad one. And then the quote 2, beside technology, a good thing happening in the education is to have teacher who can motivate the student, either in verbal or action. The next, this is the implication. During COVID-19 pandemic, the teachers need apply the same time and different time learning. The same time and different time learning, actually this is related with the face-to-face communication between the teacher and the student. If we want to use the face-to-face communication, I think we can use the same time learning by using Zoom or other platform. And then if we want to have different time learning, maybe we can use email or WhatsApp chat. And if it is possible, the teachers in the green zone can conduct a blended learning. What is blended learning? This is a kind of approach to combine online education material and opportunities for interaction online. Or beside blended learning, the teacher can do flipped classroom during the new normal life. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion. For me, best practices is a procedure shown by research and experience to produce optimal results, and it is established or proposed as a standard suitable for widespread adoption. Thank you for joining our webinar. I hope this will be beneficial for you all. Thank you. Thank you, Budwi Ros.
Thank you so much for Ma'am Lulus Irawati. Now we are going to our first sessions of questions and answer. And then we already have some questions, and I will come up to one by one of you. For everyone who joined this webinar, you can ask the questions by live or chat. If you want to have live questions, please prepare your camera on. And then the second one, you may raise your hand. And then one question for only one person. Okay, let me start for the chat question first. The question will be for Dr. Dwi Setiadi. The question is from one of the lecturers of English teaching. In communication, people sometimes find that the utterance uttered by the speaker is quite difficult to understand. Beside emoticon, what are the other solutions can solve that problem? Thank you, Doctor. Please.
Okay, thank you. Whoever asked the questions. The problem is in teachings, of course, that the teacher and the hearer are foreigner. I mean, they make use of English as a foreign language. First one, we have to understand that English is a foreign language in Indonesia. Then we have to accustom to ourselves to the English speaking. Then the practice is the most effective way to have the proficiency of English, of course. The practice and also study learns and something like that. Then a second one, emoticon can help, of course, the types of limited communications, but gestures can also be used in real communications, then sometimes effective also. So there was one day's practice of English every time. Then the second one, you can use emoticon. And the third one, gestures are also effective. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Dwi Setiadi for the first questions, and I will move to the second. The question will be for Dr. Sigit Tricahyono. The question is, can you give the problem raised during the COVID condition when they do communication? Or make it simple that, is there any problem when your students make intercultural communication in this COVID-19? Thank you, Doctor. Is it clear?
Thank you for the question. The question is what our student experience during COVID-19 regarding intercultural communication. Whether or not we are experiencing the pandemic of COVID-19, intercultural communication always happens to us every day and every time. This works side by side with when we use social media. We use social media very frequently, and therefore, at the same time, we experience intercultural communication as frequently as we use social media. Communication usually can be divided into two. First of all is direct communication, and second is mediated communication. Before the pandemic, communication happened directly. By directly, I mean students interact with people coming from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. For example, our students go to Thailand, go to Philippines, go to Vietnam, and they interact with the local people, and they experience cultural encounters. This is the first category of intercultural communication. The second is mediated. Mediated intercultural communication is, for example, we communicate with people from Thailand, from Philippines, and so on and so on, say, using Facebook Messenger, using Line, using WhatsApp, and so on and so on. Each has its own advantages as well as disadvantages. While this is related to the previous questions addressed to Pak Wistiadi, communicating through media is quite different. It is more difficult to decode the meaning, to interpret the meaning. It's quite different from when we communicate directly because context already there, and this is not the case when we communicate through social media. What will happen, ladies and gentlemen? In 2020, student exchange program by Simeo is cancelled. And then for the 2021, the proposal is, after length discussion, it will be initiated through virtual faculty and students exchange. So in short, ladies and gentlemen, the intercultural problems encountered by our students during COVID-19, there are no records because during COVID-19, the student exchange was cancelled. I think that's all. Hopefully it can answer the questions. Unless I'm happy to answer another questions. Now back to Wiros.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sigit. Before we are going to the third of chat question, I have a live question from, if I'm not mistaken, Pak Nur Salam. Are you with me? You can
Yes.
raise your hand. Okay, okay. Time is yours, please.
Well, thank you very much. My question is pointed to Bu Lulus. Well, what you explaining just now, it seems that it is not a big problem for students who have already understood English very well, but it will become a big problem if the students do not understand, for example, about unity and coherence. We cannot use the approaches that you explained just now. Now, what is your comment, Bu Lulus? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lulus. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Nur Salam. Actually, I know you well. We are from the same alma mater. Yes, Pak Salam, I agree with what you have stated before, that it is hard for us to help the student in doing the unity, right? For the student in write the essay, and of course, especially in this semester, I teach research proposal. I need to help the student online to help how to construct the unity from the first chapter and chapter 3. Yes, it is very hard for me to do that, but what I did with to handle that situation, I mean to solve that problem, yes, I need to work harder, of course. I have to explain clearly with the student one by one, or sometimes I have to spend more time to explain, and I try to give the example. If I think that the students still don't understand with what I'm explaining, or I explain to them, then I try to give a kind of example, and then I try to ask the student to at least imitate the way to organize that unity. Yeah, it's that it's the way I did, Pak Nur Salam. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Pak Nur Salam, is that clear? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for our first three speakers, to Dr. Dwi Setiadi, Dr. Sigit Cahyono, and also Dr. Lulus Irawati. Now I will move to the second session. Then we still have two speakers more. The first one I have Dr. Erli Widiani Setiati, Magister Pendidikan, and she will discuss asynchronous learning as an alternative strategy for EL teachers during COVID-19 pandemic. She is the lecturer of Universitas PGRI Madiun, and then her scope is in TEFL and also scientific writing. So please welcome our fourth speaker, Dr. Erli Widiani Setiati, Magister Pendidikan.
Thank you very much, Bu Dwi Rosita. It is nice to see you all the participants on webinar. I am Widiani. Share about the topic asynchronous learning as a strategy for ELT students during COVID-19 pandemic. This one. Okay, asynchronous learning as an alternative strategy for ELT students during COVID-19 pandemic. What I can share here. These presentations will be divided into three. This one is introduction, and then discussions, and conclusions. Today's learning is very challenging because of COVID-19 pandemics in teaching learning process, so that it is switched into online learning. In fact, in the late 20th century, online learning is very common. The teachers already use many kinds of technology, such as YouTube videos. This one is also my former research, 2016. And then computer-mediated communications, Pendidikan and Stati 2018. And then using Evernote applications, Pendidikan et al. 2020 helps the students in writing process run well. And then now, in facing the COVID-19 pandemic, all the teachers are encouraged to share their materials online to the students. Moreover, the students are also obliged to use it well in order to follow the teaching learning process. There are many platforms of online learning to be implemented for the teachers. Online learning can be synchronous and asynchronous. The synchronous learning provides real-time interaction for the students and also for the teachers, and it is also direct feedback given to the students. And then asynchronous learning, it is not time-bound for the students and also the teachers. There are the difference of synchronous and asynchronous learning. The synchronous learning, yes, I have already mentioned real-time interactions. The activity can be in the same time and place. And synchronous learning online learning include videos conferencing, teleconferencing, live chatting, and live streaming lectures. And then asynchronous, it is not time-bound. The learning materials are posted by online and ask the students to work by their own time. So the teachers give more time or particular time to finish their work. And then if they have a question, they can ask the teacher via discussion board or email. And then if it is uses online resources to facilitate the materials to the students. Asynchronous online learning include self-guided modules, streaming video, which is uploaded to some of the platforms, and then lecturers note, and then exchange across board discussion or social media platform. And my focus is on asynchronous learning. Okay. I stated from Pearson 2016 has reported that asynchronous e-learning was beneficial for second language learners. but some limitation which could be scaffolded by the synchronous sessions. It is suggested to blend of both synchronous and asynchronous paradigms to create an ideal environment for language learning. And then what I did in the previous research, Pendidikan and Study 2018 have reported that asynchronous learning, CMC, and face-to-face have different results. Asynchronous is not successful, that it is challenging to explore more about it. And in addition to it faces a COVID-19 pandemic, it is impossible to meet the students by face-to-face in the teaching learning process. There are many kinds of asynchronous learnings that can be used in the teaching learning process, but here I provide the common platform usually used by many teachers or lecturers in ELT classrooms. Computer-mediated communications. There are many previous studies in the area of technology, such as CMC, that have been conducted by many previous researchers. As you can see it in the slide, Al-Himat and Abu Shelik and the others researchers who have reported study about computer-mediated communications, and the result of this kind of platform give the alternative to the teaching learning process in ELT classroom. And then email. It is a very common for everybody use emails, because email can make the communication between the teachers and also the students run well. If the students have difficulty words, difficulty problems, they can ask their teachers. As many researchers did the research on email, Kaur and Sidhu 2010, it is has potential to aid learning autonomy. And then Greenfield email can the students can enjoy exchange, gaining general confidence in English and computer skills, and they felt that they made significant progress in a subject of writing, and then they're thinking and also speaking. And then Wang 2010, the benefit of using email is that since all the students' composition are stored in their mailbox, and then anyone can log into the mailbox to do the pair readings. The teachers can also establish corpus, which is composed of the compositions and provide the material for scientific writing. And then Al-Zubi, using email revealed that the writing skills and vocabulary of the students, it shows significant impact improve. And said 2011, it is effective in correcting reading and writing of the college students and improving their attitude towards English when utilizing inquiry-based learning models. And the next is Facebook. Facebook is very common for everybody and for the students, because I think almost of the students has their account on Facebook. So Facebook can be used as an alternative to teaching and learning. Suwatiwah Rumpet and Wasano Satmiti. Wow, this name is very difficult to pronounce. Facebook is worth promoting for discussions. And then the students also have positive attitude towards using it as a means of learning grammar and writing. And then LM 2015, Facebook enables the students to be active in L2 users. And the students use Facebook to keep in touch by following their activities in their newsfeed and by communicating through chat and private messaging. And then Gani 2015 also reports that reading, writing, and discussion activities can be held via Facebook. And all the participants agreed that Facebook helped them in learning in English. The students can get to know each other better and take education to its level and make it more interesting. Therefore, creating richer learning environment happens here. And then Garbari et al., the students repeatedly reported enjoying using Facebook. And the other platform of asynchronous learning is using WhatsApp. Using WhatsApp is also very common for everybody in the world. And it also can be used in the teaching learning process because everybody has an account on WhatsApp. The researchers who conducted the platform WhatsApp here is Ajit et al. 2018. The use of WhatsApp in English language classroom can optimize the function of the model for the students' learning process. Han and Keskin 2016. WhatsApp experiences significantly impacted the students' language acquisition by lowering speaking anxiety. Minala 2018, WhatsApp is efficient technique in enhancing EFL learners' verbal interaction outside of the context. And then Susanti and Tarmuji 2016, WhatsApp bring potential to help the students in English writing. And Zulbani 2017, WhatsApp media is more effective than old teaching method in the classroom. And what about my experience during COVID-19 pandemic? Yes, I use WhatsApp application and also email because I think this one is my consideration when I use WhatsApp. All of my students have a cellular phone, smartphone, so I'm sure that all of them have a WhatsApp application. So I choose this one it is very simple and very common for everybody. So it will not make them very what we call hard to do their learning process. This one is the examples of my activity in using WhatsApp. So usually I give them the instructions. I give them the PowerPoint of my materials, and then sometimes I give them the video record from my presentation to the students, and I also give instruction to the students by using WhatsApp. And then the second one, this one is, however, another point of that. I also give the students review how the materials was discussed in the previous meeting. So I review for the teaching learning process, give them a comment, and give them further information about the materials.
3 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. And email, because I use WhatsApp and emails. This one is many work from the students can be submitted through emails to me. And then I have already surveyed for the students what platform mostly used by the lectures in teaching during COVID-19. The first choice is WhatsApp, and then email, and then electronic mails ini electronic learning of Madiun, PGRI Madiun, Universitas PGRI Madiun, and then blog and the others. And then what platform is mostly easy in sending the task. The students also answer WhatsApp, and then they share their work by using WhatsApp. And then I also give them the questionnaire, and the result is like this one. During COVID-19, the courses in this semester uses online learning, and 60% of the students say strongly agree. This one, and this is also the result of my questionnaires. And so using WhatsApp is effective in giving the instruction to the students in the teaching learning process because 54.3% of the responses show that using WhatsApp is effective. 40% of responses also mention agree with the use of WhatsApp, and WhatsApp responses strongly agree This means that using WhatsApp is very effective. It is in line with Susanti and Tarmuji 2016 that WhatsApp brings potential to help the students in English. And using email is also very fun for the students because it is easy to submit their work. 45.7% of responses mentioned that using WhatsApp is very fun. It is in line with Kaur and Sidhu that it is mentioned email asynchronous learning interaction has potential to aid online learners develop autonomy. So this one is the conclusion. Using WhatsApp and email are effective in helping the students in their learning, and then the students and the lecturers are motivated to join online learning and using both of them in the process COVID-19 pandemic. It is not in a time bound for the students because they have more time to do their work. And this platform also have disadvantages. Many students say that online learning need more stable internet connections. For some of the students stay in remote area with the low internet connection, so they need to more time to submit their work. Also mentioned that they also need internet data. It is suggested still to use the platform as an asynchronous online learning because it might be, or it is still predicted that the learning is extended for the next term. Thank you very much, Rosita.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Erli Widianistiati. Now I'm going to our last speaker today. The fifth speaker is Dr. Sumani, Magister Management. He will discuss about teachers' politeness strategy in command in teaching English during the new normal era. Dr. Sumani is the lecturer of English Department of University of PGRI Madiun and also the Vice Dean of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas PGRI Madiun. He focuses on English teaching. And now please welcome our last speaker, Dr. Sumani, Magister Management.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon, the audience. It has been introduced that my name is Sumani. I am the last presenter in this fourth session of the webinar of Universitas PGRI Madiun. And I am the faculty members of English Education Department, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas PGRI Madiun. It is good to be here in this webinar to meet you all in this online public lecture, what I say. And I'm looking forward to talking about the politeness strategy of command, especially in English classroom interaction. Okay, and in this opportunity, actually, is my focus on politeness strategy of command. And if we talk about this one, so basically it cannot be separated from what we call pragmatic. And I would like to show the screen. Okay, you see? Okay, can you show my screen?
Yes.
Okay, now I would like to start my speaking talking about pragmatic for the time. In this case, we talk about pragmatic, especially pragmatic knowledge, and so pragmatic competence is very crucial, and also to successful a kind of interpersonal communication, as it will facilitate the interculture to convey their communication intention and also to comprehend the message as it is intended by other interlocutor. This one is statement by Birham, yeah. Having an adequate this knowledge could endanger pragmatic failure, which speaker could run to the risk of appearing uncooperative, sometimes rude, and sometimes insulting. And also, interculture, in this case, to perceive the pragmatic failure as an often rather than a simple deficiency in language knowledge. Okay. In communication, that people also employ the command to get someone to do something. In some occasion, that command is very important. In this case, to be employed, for instance, when chief of police command is subordinate to get the criminal, and also even in modern technology that people can send command by only clicking the mouse in the computer like me, like this. And every time that they click on the icon on the computer, they are sending a command to the computer operating system. And then talking about the importance of politeness strategy and teaching and learning, especially in the classroom interaction, that politeness strategy can be used to maintain the communication between teacher and the student during teaching and learning process. And it can be realized that when the teacher and the student communicate each other in a polite way, and the result that the teaching and learning process in the classroom can run well because both of them feel comfortable and respected one another during the classroom activity. So in this case, the use of politeness strategy can also make the material which is explained by the teacher easily caught by the student. And also the student can understand well the material if the teacher convey the breadth by using the proper politeness strategy. In this case, that my presentation tend to be what I say theoretically rather than the research, even though I have also a kind of small research. My research is also on the using of politeness strategy of command conducted by one of the lecturer in one university. I didn't mention the name of the university. But in this opportunity, I would like to start my presentation by talking about the politeness strategy itself. Okay, if we talk about politeness, cannot be separated with the interaction. And automatically that in order to make sense of what is said in interaction, we have to look at the various factors which relate to social distance and also closeness. Some of these factors are established prior to interaction. These are largely external factors. And the following one, that in politeness strategy, the interpretation of what is uttered usually goes beyond on what intended to be expressed and include evaluation in terms of politeness. Therefore, one can clearly observe that much more is communicated than is saying during the social linguistic instruction. This one is statement by Yun. Okay. Now the following one, I would like to explain about the politeness itself. Politeness means having or showing good manner and respect for the feeling of others. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyone can see my screen or not? My screen?
Slideshow, Pak Sum, di slideshow dulu.
Slideshow. Okay. All right, thank you. That I have mentioned in this case about what I have mentioned in the previous statement, that we would like to talk what is politeness. Politeness means having or showing good manner. Having or showing good manner and respect for feeling of others. This one is done by Wimmer. And then politeness, in a common sense, being polite, showing good manner and consideration for other people. For example, open the doors for a lady, give your seat to an elderly person in the public transport. And also politeness in the context of linguistic. In this case, that politeness is the way of people choose to speak and how the hearer react their speech. The next, that politeness in this case is an interaction that can be defined as a mean implied to show awareness of another person's face. And understand that politeness can be accomplished in the situation of a social distance or closeness. Politeness, showing awareness for another person's face when others seem socially distant, and is often described in terms of respect or difference. And then politeness also showing an equivalent of awareness when the other is socially close, is often described in terms of friendliness or solidarity. All right, this one is the description and the picture that show the friendliness. For example, the statements like this: "Hai pagi, cut a minute." This interaction is happen between the professor and professor. They are in the same level, they are in the same social status, so friendliness is applied in this communication. And then the next one, the communication happen between the student and the professor. What is student mentioned? What is statement given by the student? In this case, excuse me, Mr. Buckingham, but I can talk to you for a minute. This statement show the respect. And then why we use politeness? We use politeness in this case because politeness is used when your face is threatened because of when you might lose other respect, and when you can act freely. As in the 19th century American writer, George Fielding said that politeness is better than logic. You can often persuade when you cannot convince. Okay, now we would like to talk about the concept of the face in the context of politeness strategy. What is face? We use the Brown and Levinson that have concluded that In order to enter into social relationship, that all people must acknowledge the face of the other people. And as a technical term, that face means public self-image of person. Public self-image of person. And it refers to the emotional and also social sense of self that everyone has and expect everyone else to recognize. And then phase one. What is phase one? People generally behave as if their experience concerning their public self-image or their phase one will be respected. If a speaker says something that represents a threat to another individual expectation regarding self-image, it is described as the face-threatening act. The abbreviation is FTA. And the speaker can say something to lessen the possible threat. This is called a face-saving act, or FCA. And then the example of the phase one. We try to look at the screen, in this case, the first picture, and also the second picture, phase one. This one is the first one, face saving act that I mentioned, FSA. And then second one, face threatening act, FTA. What is the statement usually mentioned by the person, the speaker who used the face specific act? The statement is like this. Perhaps you could just ask him if he is going to stop soon because it is getting a bit late and the people need to get to sleep. This one, the picture in the left-hand side, because of the voice, the loud voice from the audio media. And then what about the face threatening act? By using the face threatening act, someone will say, I'm going to tell him to stop that awful noise right now. These two statements is different. The first one is called face saving act, and then the second one is called face threatening act. This one is in politeness strategy. And then the following one, still the concept of face. Politeness means showing awareness of another person's face, while the fact threatening act, FTA, is a threat to another person's self-image, while the face saving act saying something that lessens the possible threat to another face. Let me go on. This one is, the face threatening act, that the example of the face threatening act, the first one is, give me that example. This one is a direct speak act that can give the impression that you have a social power over the other person. Give me that. It means that you have the social power over the other person. While the face saving act, the statement will be, can you give me that? We use an indirect speak act in the form of question, remove the assumption of the power. I mean that the same level, in this case, is used by the face saving act.
3 minutes, sir.
Sorry?
3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, the people have two faces. This one is called the negative face, the need to be independent and to have the freedom of action and not to be imposed on by others. The second phase is positive. It's the need to be accepted, even linked, by others to be treated as a member of the same group, and to know that this or her want are shared by other. Two phases in this case. Okay, and then negative and positive phase. Negative phase, the example of the statement is the need to be independent and free. For example, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you are busy. Appeal to negative phase. And then positive phase, the need to be connected and a member of the group. For example, let's do it together. You and I have the same problem. Appeal to a positive phase. Next one, politeness strategy. It is the strategy that is used to prevent the violation of hearer phase. It is used by people to maintain a balance in protecting the positive and negative phase each other and acting appropriately in social interaction. And then politeness strategy, according to Vincent, there are four. But on record strategy, positive politeness strategy, negative politeness strategy, and off record indirect strategy. The explanation like this. The way of expressing politeness using the politeness strategy, we can explain like this. If we view the strategy is on continuous line, it would look like this. Well, on record, most direct, least polite. And then positive polite, more direct, less polite. Negative polite, less polite, less direct and polite. And then off record, less direct, more polite. And then thus the less direct you care, the more polite you seem to be. Conversely, the more blunt in starting your need and interaction, the less polite you seem to be. Okay, and the last example, least direct, most polite. No FTA, no face threatening act. For example, like this. If you want to borrow your neighbor's broom, this is how you may ask. Well, on record, the statement is, get the broom. Positive politeness say, Aisyah, I need to borrow your broom. Negative politeness, could I please borrow your broom for just an hour? Then, off record, my broom just broken down. The floor are very dirty. Okay, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to borrow your neighbor's broom, you may use this strategy, but it is appropriate in its own context. The last one, no FTA in doing something to get helping from the neighbor without any statement. And then the following one, but on record, it sounds very impolite, but there are context in which it is the only appropriate strategy, such as very close sister. Example like this. Agreement, example no one make your hair stronger and so on. Yeah. Keeping suggestion, dress like goddess and God will flock to you and so on. And then positive politeness. What is that? So that the speaker to be recognized the hearer that usually seen in the group of friends of where the people in the social situation know each other very well. We use positive politeness. Example like this. Claiming common ground. The example side. And then the point one, because we have very limited time. Negative politeness, you still want to maintain distance from someone.
1 minute, sir.
So you express that you want to borrow it. Run out of time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. And the last is off record. This one is the example. Okay, I'm very sorry because we ran out of time. I think it will be all right, and I give this file of PowerPoint. Maybe it can be read after this webinar by reading this PowerPoint by yourself, especially. Okay, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining this presentation. And I'm very sorry if there are a lot of weaknesses in my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for our last speakers, Dr. Sumani. Now we are going to the last sessions of question and answer sessions. In this session, we also have chat and also live questions. And before going to the chat one, may I have Mbak Corin? Ibu Corin, are you with me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, of course. So the question, please.
Okay, thank you for the time given to me. My question is for Ma'am Erli. Hello, Ma'am Erli. It's a very nice presentation for me, and I love it. Well, we as a teacher, one of the very important thing for us is the students' motivation. And my question is that, how come this asynchronous learning increase our student motivation, especially in learning English during this pandemic condition? Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am Erli, please.
Thank you, Mbak Corin. Okay, thank you for the question. How are you today? Okay,
very good.
Okay, Mbak Corin is one of our English department students in Universitas PGRI Madiun. Mbak Corin, I think Mbak Corin have already done about the use of Facebook, right? I see many videos that you uploaded in Facebook. How to motivate the students? Okay, motivate the students are very difficult. So in my experience, I always give them some of the what we call motivations, how to share beneficial information for them, to encourage them to learn through Facebook or online learning as asynchronous. Asynchronous here means that it is online and offline. So when the teacher give instruction, for example, you through YouTube or through Facebook, and then give them the time to do their work, and then give the response to the Facebook, and we give feedback. This one is about how we can motivate the students. We can share many kinds of website or what we call materials through Facebook, which is very interesting. I think like this one, and Mbak Corin has already done it, right? You upload the kinds of materials. I am interested in watching your YouTube videos, Mbak Corin. It is very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and I hope it is answer your questions. Okay, or maybe another questions. Okay, or suggestion for us.
No, that's enough. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, see you later, Mbak Corin.
Okay, thank you so much for Ma'am Erli and also Mbak Corin. Now I'm going to the second question. It is for Dr. Sumani. The question is come from talking about politeness and also cooperative principle. And here is the questions. Talking about politeness in communication, it is closely related with cooperative principle. When people choose to use positive politeness, for example, does it relate to specific cooperative principles? Is it clear, sir?
Okay. The question, if I'm not mistaken, is about do you think that it is between politeness strategy and is in the same context with the cooperation, like this? Yeah. All right. That the politeness strategy in this case talk about being nice to other people. Yeah? Being nice. On being nice in this case, automatically that can be indicated by linguistic politeness study of the face. Yeah. The face in this case, so the expression of public self-image, while the cooperation in this case indicate the activities that also show the nice situation, yeah, on being cooperative, on being nice to everyone. I think that there is relationship between both of them, even though one among of them between both of them in this case, the first one being nice in the context of the face, and then second one being nice in the context of the behavior on the activities. I think this one is my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Dr. Sumani. I hope that it's clearly enough to answer the question from one of the lecturers of English department. And now we are going to the last sessions that closing. Before we are going to close, I will give some conclusion of this meeting today. So before I'm going to the conclusion, may I say thank you for all the speakers today. And then from the first one, from Dr. Dwi Setiadi, I got the point that we can use eyes, gestures, and also speech in a communication, but it should be clearly enough that no physical contact in this new normal. So maybe we can change by using another solutions, and then but it can be shared our feelings clearly. For Dr. Sigit, we hope that we can involve intercultural communications, comes to mediated communications, which is we share self-awareness as the key of the intercultural communication. And then for Dr. Lulus, I got the point that maybe using gender-based approach and also in pandemic in writing process, it is one of a good way to solve this problem. And then from Dr. Erlich, synchronous and also asynchronous learning in studying ELT, especially using WhatsApp and also email, is the best way or the easiest way used in this pandemic era. And then it's easily to access like that. And then the last one, we have Dr. Sumani. The politeness strategy in interaction should be make sense related to social distancing and a closeness in this COVID-19 era. Okay, thank you so much for all of the participants are joining this webinar. Don't forget to join us in English department, or we call SPB UNIPMA. Hopefully our webinar today gave much more benefit for us. And I'll see you again in our next sessions of webinar series of Universitas PGRI Madiun tomorrow in the same time. And then before we close this meeting, would you like all the participants to turn on your camera, and then the committee will take the pictures. So please turn on the camera, and then I will count to 3, and please smile. Are you ready all?
Yes, ready, ma'am.
Okay. I will count 1, 2, 3, smile. Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Ayo, mau ke sana,